Welcome, everybody. John Aravosis here. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, hello, hello. Let me get my TikTok rolling. Do I have my map? I'm going to need my map today. I'm going to look at the map in a second. I'm going to need my map. All right, TikTok. Let's get rolling. We need the map today for Ukraine. Big Ukraine news today, which is kind of exciting. All right, TikTok. We'll start with the elections, but we'll get to Ukraine. But there is big Ukraine news, so making it kind of fun. I did not fill up my water glass. I'm really bad today. I may have to get more water too while we're at it. All right. Hello, TikTokers. Hello, TikTokers. I'm going to get my water. I know it's going to freak out the TikTokers. 1 second. Getting my water. Getting my water. 1 second. Getting water, getting water, getting water. Getting water. Getting water, water, water. Getting my water. All right. Had to get my water. Water, water, water. And my Ukraine map. I forgot my Ukraine map, and we got big not big enough Ukraine news today. Good Ukraine news today. So we'll be talking about that. Anyway, so welcome everybody. Welcome, thank you, Aneska, for the gift. Multiple gifts from Aneska. Thank you. I was not getting water the pup wanted water right before the show, so I gave her water, which means she's going to want some in an hour, but we'll deal with it. Thank you, Life. Thank you, Jetta. So welcome, guys. How are we all this evening? As always, I'm going to start with election news, and then we'll do Ukraine news. Thank you, user 336. Peace dolis. Thank you. Good to see you. So as I said, we'll start with the election news. I would say there's less election news tonight. The Ukraine news is a little bigger. Hey, Elizabeth. Traditionally, we cover both topics. I mean, I've been covering Ukraine for about 2.5 years now. U.S. election is too important overall not to cover, and at the same time, thank you. Merci. For the French potato, M. Fuller. Thank you, Chazak and Martin as well. That was a new gift. It seemed topical with the Olympics. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you guys for all the TikTok gifts. So welcome, everybody. I am John Aravosis. This is my show. Thank you, Gamer. We do this as a nightly show, Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, U.S. Thank you, Mary. Talking about the U.S. election, also talking about the war in Ukraine. Thank you, Pedro, Elizabeth, Alan. Lots of gifts coming in. Typically, what I'll do is start with the U.S. election news, and then we'll move on to Ukraine. And again, some very good news from Ukraine today, actually. Very good. The Ukrainians have launched like a big attack against the Russians, and the Russians are kind of losing and kind of freaking out. It's pretty funny, actually. Thank you, Maxtrax, Gamer, Marie, Elizabeth, Pedro, Alan, everybody. So yeah, good news on Ukraine front. I mean, we'll see if it matters in the end. It's not like they're going to win the war today, but Ukraine launched a huge attack against the Russians, and the Russians were not ready, and they're losing, and it's really kind of funny. They're freaking out. Hey, Kate, the hype. Don't make me nervous. Well, we're going to start with the U.S. news, U.S. elections, and then we'll move on to Ukraine. I'm a Washington, D.C. based political guy. My background is foreign policy and 40 years of U.S. politics. So I do know what I'm talking about and hopefully help you guys understand some of what's going on. Thank you, Joe Blow, for subscribing on YouTube. Thank you. All right, guys, let's get rolling first. So let's start talking. We'll start talking about the U.S. election. As you guys know, yesterday was Tuesday, actually. So Kamala Harris yesterday morning selected Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, as her running mate, as her vice presidential candidate. She introduced him to the nation last night in a speech in Philadelphia. We all watched that together because it just happened to take place at the time I was doing my show. Thank you, Vicky, Championess, Ernie, for the gifts there. They are now planning a number of stops, 7 stops over the next week. Harris and Walz, the Democratic candidates, are planning. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Ernie. Interestingly, Trump has only 1 campaign stop in the next week. Kamala Harris in the next 7 days is going to 7 states. Trump is going to 1. Today, he did nothing. He phoned in an interview with Fox News, the Republican, so an easy interview, and is doing nothing. Something's going on with Trump. Okay? Something's going on with Trump. I don't know what's going on, but there's something weird going on. It's just, bottom line is there is no excuse other than Trump being sick for not doing campaign events the next week. It makes no sense. I'm telling you politically, Kamala Harris is doing well. She's doing really well in the polls. The polls have gone up significantly in the last 2 weeks. We know this, right? She's tied with Trump nationally. She's tied with Trump in the most important states. The Democrats were behind Trump when Biden was the candidate 2 weeks ago, right? Who is this? Miss Vic, Eva, Courtney, thank you for the gifts. Trump cannot afford to sit on his ass for a week. He can't. She's doing too well. He needs to get out there and destroy her, right? Pop her bubble, stop her momentum, right? He's not. The only reason now again, Trump, okay, actually, there's no reason Trump wouldn't be campaigning unless he's ill. There's no reason. You wouldn't not campaign with 3 months to go to the election, by the way. You wouldn't not campaign for a week because things are going well. Things aren't going well. But also, even if they were, you wouldn't stop campaigning for a week. There's only 12 weeks left, right? That's insane. Something's not right with him. There's something not right. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years, guys. You don't sit on your ass as a presidential candidate for a week 3 months before the election. You go crazy 3 months before the election. You don't sit on your ass unless there's something wrong with you. There's something going on. What else we got here? Actually a little more on the Washington Post. This was interesting. Washington Post did an analysis of how the polling is going for J.D. Vance. Thank you, Vicky. Very interesting. Washington Post says this is J.D. Vance is the vice president nominee under Trump, who's been having a lot of bad press the last couple of weeks. Thank you, Mustard. Thank you, Rock. So listen to this. Thank you, Swifty. You guys are in the news today, Ada. Washington Post, it's getting worse for J.D. Vance. A half dozen polls in recent weeks have shown his already underwhelming image deteriorating, and they suggest his past comments about childless women aren't helping. This is from the Washington Post. A half dozen polls have now tested views of Vance more than once in the last few weeks. In each of them, his already underwhelming image ratings have deteriorated, sometimes significantly. And crucially, his struggles appear particularly pronounced among educated voters and women. That would suggest that his derisive past comments about childless women are indeed proving to be his liabilities. By the way, he didn't just make derisive comments about women. He said that women who are raped or victims of incest should be forced to have the baby. I mean, bad stuff here. He also said, what was the other one? It was women should be forced to have the babies. He made fun of women that don't have children. And I'm spacing out, guys. What was the third big thing that we've been talking about that J.D. Vance said? It was, he wants a nationwide abortion ban. He wants a nationwide, he wants a nationwide abortion ban. And the other one was women in violent relationships, according to J.D. Vance. And there's audio, video of this during an interview. He said, women in violent relationships should not leave. They are wrong if they think they're better off leaving the man who's beating them. He said, he is skeptical. Women think they're better off when they leave the man who's beating them. He's skeptical. I am giving you the exact quote. He's skeptical. And he certainly says that it is wrong and bad for the child when mom leaves a relationship where she's being beaten violently. He used the word violent. He's out of his mind. All the studies will show you don't want children in violent relations. You absolutely don't want children. Children become the risk of, frankly, becoming violent by seeing dad or mom, but usually dad, become violent, right? It is not good, right? He called it inconvenient. He called pregnancy from rape and incest simply inconvenient, that women decide not to have the child because it's inconvenient. He's disgusting. In any case, so yes, he's having a lot of problem with female voters. Vance's net favorable rating, favorable versus unfavorable. Okay, net favorable rating is when you do a poll and you say, do you have a favorable opinion or an unfavorable opinion of this person? And then you subtract the difference. So if 50% have a favorable view of you and 40% have an unfavorable, you've got a net favorable of plus 10, right? Your favorables are plus 10 above your unfavorables. If you're 45% unfavorable and only 40% favorable, you are now -5, right? Your favorables are 5 points below your unfavorables. It gives you a sense of what people think of you overall. You want to be positive, obviously, plus, and you want to be really plus. Vance has been underwater. He has been negative. People are more unfavorable of him than favorable. That is not good. It is also abnormal. Typically, vice presidential candidates, when they're first announced, have something. I forgot the exact number. I've told you guys in a previous show. I want to say something on the order of 20% net favorable. Like, they're usually super favorable when they're first announced. You never get somebody like Vance who's in trouble. Thank you, Riverdan. And thank you. Sorry, a few other gifts did come in. Shane, more from Riverdan. John S. Thank you, guys. I want to make sure I'm thanking you all. So a little bit more on this. His net favorable rating is now 9 points underwater. So meaning 9 points. He is 9 points more unfavorable than favorable. According to the average of polls right now, that's a marked contrast to other recent running mates who have generally polled in the popular territory. His net favorable ratings have, listen to this, his net favorable ratings are not just underwater. Thank you, Tarad. They've dropped 6 points. Since Kamala Harris got in the race and Biden dropped out, not only has she gotten more popular, Vance has gotten less popular. It's not a poll where it's either or. It's literally a poll where you say, JD Vance, do you approve or disapprove of him? Do you find him favorable or unfavorable? Since Biden dropped out, fewer people now find him favorable. Even more people find him unfavorable by 6 points. He's declined among independents by double digits in 2 different polls. He declined at least 19 points among black voters in 3 different polls. I mean, guys, his approvals went down 19 points, so 19 percentage points in 3 polls among black voters. He's also down double digits among voters under 30 in 2 of the 3 polls. Anyway, that's sort of interesting. Harris, I thought this was interesting for Kamala Harris today. Thank you, River Dan. Kamala Harris at multiple events in the last day has shut down the crowd when they chanted "lock him up" about Trump. That is a reference. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Typhoon. That is a reference, and thank you, Dwinders, for Donald Trump's rallies. Thank you, Katie, used to always have his rally goers say, lock her up about Hillary Clinton. Trump, like a fascist, frankly, an authoritarian, would threaten to throw his election opponent in prison. He did. He tried to actually have his Justice Department go after her, which is incredibly illegal, incredibly un-American, incredibly undemocratic, incredibly fascist, but he got away with it because Trump gets away with everything, with all of his crimes. Thank you, Ventures. Thank you, Marsha. Interestingly, at least 2 different times in the last day, once was during her talk last night that she gave, Kamala Harris. Thank you, Marie. And another one was today. The crowd started chanting, lock him up about Trump, right? Saying he needs to go to jail for his crimes. And she cut them off both times. She cut them off last night. She cut them off again today. She apparently, she motioned with her hands in Philadelphia last night to avoid the chants, like trying to stop people. Thank you, River Dan. Today, she had a new comeback for people as they were saying, lock him up. She referred to herself and Waltz as joyful warriors. When crowd chanted to put Trump in jail, she said, hold on, let the courts take care of that. We're going to beat him in November. I will tell you, I mean, this is important stuff. Moto, you're just going to get a timeout again. Do it one more time and you're leaving us for the show. Don't do it. You're being a jerk. I will give her credit for this. Basically, obviously, Trump should be locked up. He's a felon and he's committed massive numbers of crimes. We all know that. He's also sexually assaulted women. He's been a traitor to the country. He's still classified information, on and on and on and on. It is inappropriate for the presidential opponent to be publicly calling for him to be in prison. That is weird. That is undemocratic. It is something Donald Trump has done repeatedly. It is something normal people don't do in democracies. Democrats, meaning small Democrats, meaning people who support democracy, do not do that. Donald Trump does. So it's very good of her, and I would say very commendable that she's refusing to take the bait on this from her own audience, which is because the easiest thing to do is tell the audience, yeah, and the audience would love it, right? But very interesting that she is taking the mature supporter of democracy approach that, frankly, Trump and Republicans should take, but MAGA Republicans right now, sadly, no longer support our democracy. Trump today, of course, big surprise. Trump, as you know, has a history of attacks against women and people of color, and especially women of color. He hates women of color. Trump routinely would attack Black female reporters covering the White House. He hated them. He would routinely attack Black congresswomen, so Black women in the United States House, United States Senate. And he's been called out for it repeatedly. I mean, he's a racist and he's a sexist. And he is, like I said, he especially has a place in his heart for Black women. Women generally, Trump doesn't like when women challenge him. Again, he's a sexual abuser. We know that he sexually assaults women. He doesn't like it when they challenge him. He called Hillary Clinton a nasty woman during the debate when he was debating her. And he basically, she got him. She would get some zingers in. He goes, "You're a nasty woman." Well, he just said the same thing about Kamala Harris today. He said, "I hear she's sort of a nasty person." He just hates women. And I mean, there's a misogyny there. Again, I just wish Republican voters would, it's too late. They picked the bad guy, they picked the sexist, racist, but it's just kind of sad because this is what he does. It's just very sad. Let me move on to the Ukraine news. Like I said, there is a ton of news today, actually, on the Ukraine. On the election front. This part of the show, I'm going to talk about the latest update from Ukraine. Our trolls are going to be very upset because they came here to watch to defend Trump, and now you get Ukraine. Sorry, but you can defend Biden. You can defend Vladimir Putin. You guys like to defend America's enemies too, so feel free. Welcome. Ukraine has been blowing the crap out of Russia today, and it's kind of funny. It's day 894 of Vladimir Putin's special military operation. Just a quick reminder, guys, please keep the gifts coming on TikTok and YouTube. I do this for a living. I do it full time. And if you can help with the gifts, your gifts literally pay my bills. No one pays me. You pay me. And you've been quite generous, and I appreciate that. So please, if you can afford the gifts, and if you can afford memberships, even better. And if you can afford gift memberships that get automatically given to other people watching the show, that would be lovely. So thank you. Thank you, Ronnie. So Ukraine, this is crazy, guys. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Denise. I started seeing reports on this last night. And thank you, Allison. Oh, we got a lot of people here. Allison, Casso, Ali, or Ally. Who else we got? Ginger. Hey, Ginger. Good to see you again, as always. So quick little things here. Rune, Ivan, or Ivan. Since you have a Latino last name, maybe you're an Ivan. Denise, Andy. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. So the Ukrainians, this is wild. Thank you, Nicolette. The Ukrainians invaded today, and it's been hilarious. I'm going to show, I've got my Ukraine map here. So just to kind of show you, right? Here's what we're talking about. I'm going to do this one myself. That one gets an actual block. That one gets a block. You're not going to hang out. You're not hanging out. Goodbye, crazy Russian troll. So here's Ukraine. The Russians have invaded and controlled this part of Ukraine, right? From the south all the way around here. The Ukrainians invaded Russia in the last day, all the way over here, actually. So Sumy, it's a region called Kursk up here. Ukrainians invaded. The Ukrainians have been very successful in their invasion. We're getting information from the Russians. The Ukrainian government isn't telling us anything. So a lot of the information we're getting is from the Russians, but the Russians are talking about what a disaster it is, that it's believed, the Russian government says, last night, we defeated all of them. Oh, no, they didn't. The Russian military bloggers, who are very important, basically private citizens with ties to the military, and they blog about what's going on publicly, have been in a panic today, absolute panic. Let me read you, I'm going to read you some of the updates on this, okay? Hundreds of Ukrainian troops from Ukraine's 22nd Mechanized Brigade, supported by dozens of tanks and armored vehicles, were reported to have launched the attack into the frontier region of Kursk. Despite the claims from Moscow, these are from various news reports, despite the claims from Moscow that the situation was under control, Russian military bloggers issued a furious response at the defense ministry's failure to secure Kursk. Anastasia Kashevarova, a blogger with 250,000 subscribers, said, "We knew that the Ukrainian armed forces would go to Kursk Oblast. We knew that they were pulling forces together. We knew everything as usual. The guys from the field reported it, but their higher-ups did nothing." Russian sources speculated that Ukraine was intent on advancing as far as the Kursk nuclear plant, about 68 miles from the border. That's like 90 kilometers, in revenge for the seizure of the Ukrainian plant in Zaporizhia. And so basically, one thought is the Ukrainians are going to go after the nuclear plant. And they're going to go after it because the Russians stole the Ukrainian nuclear plant in southern Ukraine, the one in Zaporizhia. And the Ukrainians are going to go, okay, we've got your plant now. Do you want to finally give us our plant back? Right? So very interesting what they're doing. Another possibility, by the way, I've got more news on just how screwed the Russians are here with this Ukrainian attack. If Ukraine takes land in Russia, and so far they've taken like several hundred square kilometers of land in Russia right now that they're occupying. If Ukraine's able to hold on to that land, how does Putin call for a ceasefire? Putin's ceasefire is based on the Ukrainians and the Russians holding the land they have. Well, Ukraine had no land inside Russia. Thank you, Denise. right? The Russians had a lot of land in Ukraine. So Putin kept saying, I will only have peace talks if we freeze the conflict where it is, and Russia basically gets to stay where it is. Well, if they freeze the conflict where it is right now, Ukraine is occupying Russia. And Russia would basically be giving up some of its cities, which Putin would die, absolutely die. So this becomes very funny in that regard. Now, no one thinks that this is going to change the whole war, right? But it causes a lot of problems for Russia because, as I said, their little ceasefire ploy all of a sudden becomes, okay, Russia, you want to stop the fighting and leave Ukraine occupying literally Russian territory? See how well that goes over with the Russian people, Vlad, right? People don't like that. People don't like losing their territory. Ask the Ukrainians. Via the Wall Street Journal's reporter Yaroslav Trofimov, Russian military bloggers claim that the city of Sudza in the Kursk region has been captured by Ukrainian forces and that Ukrainian troops are now as much as 25 kilometers deep into Russia. That's maybe 15 miles, 18 miles. Radio silence from Kyiv. So the Ukrainians aren't saying anything. They're like, boop, boop. If true, Ukraine has captured more land in the last 48 hours than in the entire summer counteroffensive last year. Yes, that land is in Russia, but if Kyiv can hold it, it can perhaps trade it for occupied Ukrainian land, say in Kharkiv. Russian military telegram channels, which are social media channels, Russian military social media channels are in full panic mode. Vibes of the August 2022 collapse in Kharkiv and Kherson. So back in August of 2022, the Russians had invaded and controlled a whole swath of northern Ukraine. Well, the Ukrainians just pushed them out back to here. It was a collapse of the Russian forces, absolute collapse. And they're saying that they're getting similar vibes now about the Russians being in just absolute panic. A little bit more here. Wall Street Journal reports that the Russian media estimates that the area of the Kursk region seized by Ukraine in the past 48 hours is roughly 350 square kilometers. Several Russian military bloggers and a Russian member of parliament report that a Russian military correspondent and propagandist, Yevgeny Podubny, was killed. He's apparently a big Russian military propagandist. The Ukrainians killed him with a drone in Kursk. I mean, they literally tracked the guy down with a drone and got him, like a targeted killing. And this guy was a huge Russian military propagandist, killed. Institute for the Study of War weighs in. George Barros, one of their staffers. Ukrainian forces took a good number of Russian prisoners, Russian troops prisoner in Kursk. This seems to be the largest single Russian surrender of the war so far. Some reports that over 60 Russian troops surrendered. There is video, and I've seen the video, it's great. Video online of something like 22 of the Russian troops walking together with their hands above their head on the street in surrender. This is great stuff. I mean, obviously, it's good news on the face of it. It is also good news because I was talking to Callum about this earlier. It is great for the Ukrainian morale and the Ukrainian military. It's terrible for the Russian military. I am absolutely excited about this. Absolutely, positively excited. When a country is committing, somebody say you're too excited. Are you kidding? I'm ecstatic. When a country is committing genocide, when a country invades its neighbor and is a hegemonic, militaristic, imperialistic, nasty government that goes and invades its neighbor and kidnaps children, you better believe I'm happy when the victim fights back. Damn straight. You should be happy too. You should be happy too. I like it when victims fight back and win. Absolutely, positively. So yeah. Oh, well, sorry, Russia. Sorry, Russia. Thank you, Anne. So, what else we got here? Oh, the impact of this. Now, I will say with all of this, the problem here is that this could help the Ukrainians for trading land. It could help the Ukrainians for getting their nuclear plant back. It's not necessarily going to change the whole war. And I'll read this to you, just, to be honest. Several of the top military analysts weighed in and said, it's not going to really change the war. This was via the Telegraph newspaper. A limited operation might be able to achieve limited goals, but a more ambitious operation carries greater risks. It is unlikely this operation will have a significant effect on the course of the war, said Rob Lee, a senior fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute. He's very good. Mick Ryan, who's another really good guy from Australia, a former general, said one potential driver of this is political. The government of Ukraine wants to shift momentum and their strategic narrative and have directed such an operation. Another potential driver is operational. That is to draw away Russian forces from the Donbass, eastern Ukraine, to defend the Kursk region. So basically try to draw Russians away from east to have to go fight up north. However, given Russian advantages in manpower, because Russia has so many more men, Russia can probably cover both areas with limited impact on its operations in eastern Ukraine. So thank you, Christopher, for subscribing. So it's not clear that this is going to, this isn't going to change the war. It is going to make it harder for the Russians to fight because their troops are now demoralized. It's going to make it easier for the Ukrainians to fight because their troops are going, yes. And Ukraine might be able to trade some land here. It's hugely embarrassing for Putin. Dictators don't like to be embarrassed. It's a huge blow for Putin. And Ukraine might be able to trade its nuclear plant for this nuclear plant, So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Sumy Oblast, the Russians had to evacuate 6,000 people, which is funny, from the region. And again, if you're trying to tell your people the war is going well, and then the Ukrainians are literally taking Russian land and you have to evacuate your own citizens, that doesn't mean the war is going well. European Union spoke out and defended Ukraine's invasion. The Americans also defended it. A Ukrainian first-person drone hit a Russian Mi-28 helicopter in a historic feat. This is all in the same region. The U.S., this was interesting. The State Department spokesman, Matt Miller, was asked today, can the Ukrainian troops use U.S.-supplied weapons in their incursions into Russia's Kursk region? Interestingly, let's see if this stays. Interestingly, he said, with the actions they are taking today, they are not in violation of our policy. That surprised me. That really surprised me. I think I'm going to be surprised if the U.S. sticks to that. If the Biden administration doesn't get kind of cold feet about this. Let's see. I'm a little suspicious. Because they've been so worried about escalation. The Russians go, my God, what if Russia uses nukes? This kind of crap. Thank you, Kronos. Let me thank a few of you guys who got gifts here. Jen, since I was sort of on a roll, I didn't want to stop Marsha. Oh, Six Evo, let me get to you in a second. We got Kronos, Marsha, Joshua, Marsha, Alia. Thank you guys for the gifts on YouTube or TikTok. Six Evo has a question on YouTube. Thank you, Denise. Can the incursion justify the use of a tactical nuke? That's the question. Nothing justifies the use of a tactical nuke. Russia could try to argue that it does. The problem is, thank you, Nicole, for subscribing. The problem is, thank you, Tadad. If Russia uses nuclear weapons, Russia will be crossing an incredible red line. The U.S. and NATO should have made clear to Russia at this point, if they use nukes, it's war, right? That we're coming in, that you cannot use nukes on a NATO border and let alone an ally and in Europe. You can't do it. Because here's the problem if Russia uses nukes. Forget the fact that obviously it's a problem for Ukraine, right? If Russia uses nukes, that obviously goes without saying. But if the Russians use nukes and they get away with it, it means the Israelis can use nukes. It means the Indians can use nukes against Pakistan. It means the Pakistanis can use nukes against India, right? It means the North Koreans can use nukes against South Korea. It means Iran, who's going to probably try to get nukes very soon, could use nukes against its neighbors, right? If we let the Russians get away with using tactical nuclear weapons, meaning small nuclear weapons, there are small versus large nuclear weapons that exist. If we let them get away with using small nuclear weapons, then we are telling every country in the world, you too can use small nuclear weapons because the Russians did it. And obviously NATO was too scared to do anything about it. NATO really doesn't have a choice but to practically declare war on Russia if they use nukes. There's really not much of a choice at that point. So one hopes, thank you, Succeed, one hopes that Europe and the Americans and the Canadians have told Russia it's going to be war if you use nukes. My concern is Biden, I think, is going to be more terrified than brave. Thank you, Annie, in terms of going after the Russians on this. I'm sure privately, I'm sure he told them you better not. But if I were the Russians, I'd be looking and going, you know what? For 2.5 years, Biden's been really, really afraid of escalation. He said repeatedly, we cannot afford to go to war with a country that has nuclear weapons because it'll be nuclear war. So if you're Russia, you're in the back, again, my analysis, if I'm Russia, in the back of my mind, I'm going, I think Biden's actually terrified of going to war with me and would do anything not to go to war with me. And if I use a nuke in Ukraine, is he really going to do anything? Right? Is he? What if Russia uses a nuke in an empty field near Ukraine? What if he does it on Russian territory? Thank you, Terrence. Right? Thank you, Murph. Sorry, a few other gifts popped in here. I saw several from Murph. Annie, thank you, darling. Thank you, Succeed. Marsha, what if Russia were to use a nuke? Here, a couple different things. Thank you, Le Démon Noir. Thank you. What if Russia uses a nuke in Ukraine, but uses it in an empty field just to send a message? They don't hurt anybody, right? Some cows die, maybe. What if Russia does that? Is that enough to go to war with Russia, right? I mean, do you get how they would do this? Russia will most likely do something to try to scare the hell out of us, and with just short of doing something, right? Thank you, Kalina. Thank you, Ginger. Anyway, it's pretty wild stuff. Yeah, we should worry about Russia, but you know what? As I've always said, the best way to have Russia use nukes is for Russia to think we're scared of them using nukes and that we will do anything to avoid them using nukes, meaning, please, Mr. Hitler, we'll give you Czechoslovakia, just don't invade the rest of us, right? You tell the guy you're scared of him, and the guy goes, okay, you're scared of me. I can actually do more than I wanted to, because now I know your threshold is much higher of you acting, because first you were here, now I realize you're way more scared of me doing something, so, you're going to wait. Yeah, so Taylor Swift, this was interesting. Taylor Swift had to cancel three concerts in Austria. There was an Islamic State attack planned. 2 Austrian kids, like 19-year-olds, were radicalized on the internet. How screwed up do you have to be like Austrian and surf the web and go, yeah, Islamic terrorists in Syria or Iraq or whatever, I'm going to sign up with them. These idiots swore an oath to the Islamic State leader earlier this year and literally prepared a terrorist attack against the Taylor Swift concert. It was thwarted. They were arrested. They had bombs in their homes. It's very weird. It's very weird. I mean, it's very weird. I will say it is certainly an interesting coincidence that Taylor Swift was demonized by Republicans only a few months ago. It was January. MAGA Republicans decided to make her public enemy number 1. They said she was part of a whole conspiracy to steal the election. This whole thing she was going to do with her boyfriend, who was a big football player here, American football. If this is Islamic State, I'm assuming there's no connection, but it is interesting that Republicans decided to demonize this woman and make her public enemy number 1. And a few months later, she has to shut down 3 concerts because of a terrorist attack. Again, probably no connection. Interesting coincidence, Anyway, all right, guys, that's it for the news. Let's hang out and talk. Oh, I finally do have some auction items up. Woo woo! I do have new auction items up for the next week. So I will show you 3 of them. The 4th one I can't show you because TikTok would get mad. But I've got a large one this time. It's the only large one I've got at the moment. It is a painted Ukrainian, it's a military shell from a gun. Oh, hello, Patty. I've never seen that before. Oh, that's hilarious. Relaxed goose. Thank you, user 424. That is, and by the way, I can tell that was very generous because whenever a gift hangs out a while, it's generous. That was really fun. I've never seen that before. Thank you for that. And thank you, Dean. Thank you, Blue Sky. I might as well look back here and make sure I missed a few of you. Thank you, Rose, user 424, Masha. Okay, I think another goose from Iggy. That is the freaky funniest thing. I wish you guys could see over on YouTube what it's doing. It's really cool because it's this like almost not a dead goose, a goose without its bones hanging on your head. And as you turn, its legs like flop around. It's very cool. Very cool. So what I can't show you is we've got an auction item over in Discord. I just made it public over there. It is a really cool shell from a gun, a large weapon. I'd have to have Callum and some of the military guys and gals look at it. It's probably Russian. We got the numbers on the bottom, so somebody who can do better research than I can figure out what it is. But it's painted. A Ukrainian artist we know painted the shell in the Petrokivka style. So it's this beautiful colors with flowers and Ukrainian colors. It's really cool. But it's a military shell, spent shell from Ukraine. It's used. But TikTok, I think, might freak out because it's an old bullet, so to speak. Not going to go there, right? It's 6.5 inches tall. It's really great. It's bigger than the other ones that I've been auctioning. It's very cool. There was a big bear? No. Was that the hug? Thank you, Trilytic. Thank you, Mikey. Thank you, Nathan. How did I miss a bear? Thank you, Trilytic. Was I looking over here? No, I'm sorry. Oh, there. Okay, thank you. Thank you. That was really cute. Dawn, did somebody else get the? Oh, that was the other person that got it too. I see. Okay, so Trollitic, now I've seen it. Thank you. That was sweet of you. You know what it is? It because also the way I've got the comments written on TikTok, I've got them swiped over so they're really big so I can read them more easily, but it makes the screen darker. And the bear being brown blends it in a little bit. Thank you, Marsha. Oh, Hravanol. Thank you, Hravanol. Anyway, two more items. Or three more items. We've got a new refrigerator magnet that James got in Ukraine. It's the Russian warship Go F Yourself magnet based on the Ukrainian stamp. And it shows a Ukrainian soldier giving the middle finger to the Russian warship that threatened the Ukrainians the first day of the war. Remember, it said they threatened the Ukrainians in the island and said, Ukrainian troops, this is Russian warship, surrender. And the Ukrainian troops responded, Russian warship, go F yourself. And became super famous because they had the audio. It went international. 6 weeks later, the Ukrainians sank the warship using a Ukrainian cruise missile they made themselves. So this is based on the stamp that the Ukrainians made showing a Ukrainian soldier giving the middle finger to the Russian warship. I mean, it's hilarious. But anyway, it's a fridge magnet that James brought back from Ukraine. We've got 10 stickers, Ukrainian trident with the Ukrainian color background. Anybody who's, I'm not a sticker guy. I know a lot of people are. So people have liked, so we got more stickers. People like the stickers. James got these too, but they're very pretty. And they're actually quite big. They're, I would say, 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, maybe. You have to figure that out in centimeters. And finally, there's more. I've got 8 items, but I only got 4 up. Finally, I've gotten a new t-shirt. We've got a new t-shirt, 100% cotton. Vlad got these in Ukraine. We've got sizes, American sizes. Thank you, Trilitic. Medium, large, and extra large. I tried on the large, and it was a little large on me, which means it's accurate. So the large, at least, is an American large, because sometimes the shirts don't really equate. The large is absolutely an American large. It looked good on me, but it was a little large. There's a video in the Discord. It's got a Ukrainian trident. It's kind of a ribbony trident. The trident is a symbol of Ukraine. I tried it on. At first, I thought this was more feminine. It looked good on me. So take a look at the picture in the video I put over on Discord, and you'll see what I mean. Like, I'd wear this. At first, I saw that, like I said, I thought it was feminine, but it's really not. It's 100% cotton, and it's medium, large, and extra large, men's, so to speak. So the winner picks which size. I'm a little fellow. I wear between a medium and a large, basically. You know, and because I lost some weight, I'm back to my medium large size. Thank you, Brandy, for subscribing. So check those out. You can find those 4 auction items. We've got 8. I haven't put the other ones up yet, but you can find those auction items over on Discord. Once you go to Discord, go to the left. Okay, you go to Discord. You've got to subscribe to it or whatever. You've got to hit the button that says, I am not a troll. I'm a real person, right? Oh, that's verification. And then you go to the left-hand side, and you will see VIP auctions and public auctions. The public auctions are for everybody. The VIP auctions are for subscribers everywhere else other than TikTok, because TikTok's broken. TikTok's connection to Discord is broken. I've asked them for years. I asked them again 2 months ago. I'm going to ask them again. Thank you, Yak, for subscribing. But unfortunately, the TikTok connection doesn't work. So you guys can't access the VIP. Everybody else can, because TikTok, please fix it, please. And I'll have 4 more there tomorrow. All right. So, all right. Yes, and thank you, guys. I saw we got more subscribers today. Thank you for that. I do this full time. Like I said, it is of great benefit to me when you subscribe or give gifts, because quite literally they pay the bills. This is how I make a living. I mean, I've been doing internet politics for 30 years, 35 years, or 30 years, actually. But the last couple of years, I decided to focus on the war in Ukraine and then the U.S. election, because that's important too. So your support really does help. So thank you. Discord is a community chatting platform, basically. Lots of different sections. In each section, we put different topics. You go into the topic, and you can write a little message, and somebody else writes a message below you. It's that's what I would call it. Kind of a bulletin board in a sense. A little confusing at first. Once you get used to it, it's easier. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Masha, for the gifts. All right. Anyway, oh boy, what's going on? You're confused about American sizes, Misha? I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. I mean, you can Google. I'm sure they can tell you if, I don't know whether Russians follow the European sizing. but you can certainly see what the correlation is. Even for Russian, you should be able to see the correlation on Google between American sizes and and Russian sizes. Anybody want to give advice on TikTok to some of the folks interested in finding Discord, etc.? Please do if you can. Oh, you did. Oh, Jonathan. Oh, nice. Jonathan got to do, thank you, Timothy, for the cool gifts. Jonathan got to do the cool White House tour. I'm impressed. Thank you, Yak. We were talking about this last week. He was saying a friend was taking him for the tour, and I told him the really cool tour typically is the one you go late at night. Maybe they do day, but typically it's like 10 o'clock at night because the president's in bed and you can pop your head into the Oval Office, which is the president's office, the Oval Office, and literally lean in and look around. Oh, that's cool. Then you must really know. Then 6 p.m. that we had to go to 10. That's good. Well, Biden was probably out of town then. Wow. Oh, good for you. Yeah, there were no photos or anything, but still, it was like, I don't even remember. I just remember, I think I was so scared. And the Secret Service guy was there and it was kind of creepy that it was still like, oh my God. Yeah, very cool. That's very cool. Good for you. That's the tour that people don't get to do. That is the tour. Biden, guess who else goes to bed early? Donald Trump. So don't even talk about Biden going to bed early. Trump would start working at noon every day. He would get up around 9. He'd watch Fox News and have breakfast. He'd take literally 2 hours to do his hair. And then he'd come down at noon every day. So, and then he'd finish work at 6, have dinner with somebody, and that was the end of his workday. So give me a break. Biden's old. Trump was even worse as far as that goes. Trump was even worse. Trump does nothing. But anyway, he put pics in the travel section of Discord. Okay. Not sure what you're referring to. White House pics? Oh, maybe. Trump is not up till 3 a.m. If Trump's tweeting at 3 a.m., he's got it set up to go out automatically. Trump there's no way Trump is up at that hour. Yeah. This was literally the way he ran the presidency. He was younger. He just wouldn't work. Sasha, stop. Oh, I will have to go check out your photos, Brandy. I did not see. Or Brandamore. Yeah, Kofefe. Oh, of the Oval Office. You got pictures of the Oval Office? They didn't let us take pictures. Man. Oh, I'm impressed. Wow. Well, that's annoying. Wow. Okay, not the Oval Office. I was going to say, I doubt they let you do that. Opinion of Israel? No. I told people, if the war if it looks like a war is happening, I'm happy to weigh in again on it, but I'm not going to give you my opinion of Israel because people can't handle it. It's the worst topic on the planet. People are just rude. It is. I've been covering, Israel for 25 years. People are just assholes whenever you talk about it. It's just not worth it. So not going to do it. And guess what that does? It hurts the Palestinians more than the Israelis, but people are jerks when you talk about it. So it's just not worth it. So nope, unless there's a war breaking out, which there might be with Iran, I will certainly weigh in on that. But Israel overall, nope. Kamala's campaign schedule? Yeah. I mean, she's been giving it out. They named the 7 states that she's going to for the next week. She's going to 7 battleground states with Tim Walz. So, I mean, it's public. It's pretty much public, whatever her campaign is, What else? What else, guys? We actually have like a decent night tonight. I'm surprised. I thought there wasn't a ton of news. Like the election news today is a slower day. Well, you know what? Libya is certainly better off without Muammar Gaddafi. Afghanistan deserved it. Somebody's asking, how's Afghanistan, Libya, and Iraq after U.S. intervention? I shed no tears for Saddam Hussein. He's a dictator. I'm glad he's gone. Even fewer tears for Gaddafi. Dictator terrorist, glad he's gone. And Afghanistan deserved what they got because they helped Osama bin Laden on 9/11. There was nothing we could do but invade Afghanistan. The Afghanistan invasion didn't work too well. Yeah. But this is where I talk about politics. It's cute for people to say stuff like this guy, like, how could you invade Afghanistan? Because when you launch 9/11 and kill 3,000 American citizens, you're going to get blown up in response. And there is no way in a democracy that you will not get blown up. Because if you're not, our government's going to get overthrown if it doesn't respond. And that was what Osama bin Laden wanted. And frankly, other terrorists in the world do the same thing. They hide among civilians and they want you to blow them up. But what people need to understand is you don't really have a choice. So, Libya, we can debate Libya, but certainly Gaddafi deserved to be gone. That's not even I mean, I literally laugh at Gaddafi being gone. I praise God that Gaddafi's gone. And Saddam Hussein, the same thing. Two of the worst human beings on the planet. I'd have the same feeling about Kim in North Korea being gone. I would laugh and have a beer, or maybe a spritzer or something. But, so yeah, not even. But the invasion of Afghanistan, there was no choice. No choice. Bush screwed up. And by the way, you'll notice the invasions they don't talk about. You don't talk about Iraq the first time when we liberated an Arab country, an Arab Muslim country of Kuwait. We freed it. Saddam Hussein wiped it from the map. Kuwait was going to no longer exist. America came in, organized a worldwide coalition of 93 countries or so, and saved an Arab country, saved a Muslim country, liberated it. And did we occupy it afterwards? No. Did we own their oil afterwards? No. We should have. Kuwait should have been like, literally, our oil is yours for the next 100 years. Kuwait was gone. He wiped them from the map. America saved them. So don't give me this bullshit, right? Afghanistan, I love the Afghanistan. You helped the Taliban. We freaking helped the Mujahideen beat the Soviets in the 1980s. A lot of thanks we get from the Middle East and the Muslims for literally saving their asses in the 1980s from the Soviets. So no, I don't deal with people who do bullshit arguments about America's so evil. America's evil because you like to pick and choose wars that don't go well versus the wars that were justified that saved your asses. Not to mention World War II and World War I, but going back to World War II is getting kind of old, frankly. But because we got more recent wars, but give me a break. Thank you, Jay Shea. But it is funny. You never hear them talk about us saving the Afghans from the Russians. You really never hear them talking about the Kuwaitis. We literally saved. Where were the Arab governments? Right? Where were they? Didn't see a lot of Arab governments rushing in to invade and save Kuwait. Yeah, right. Palestinians, other Middle Easterners, all those folks you guys love. Where were they? Right? I should say all the folks who hate us. Where were they? They weren't helping their people. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Rocket. So no, I just get a little annoyed because people love to say this shit. We're not kind of evil at all. Some of our governments are evil. Sure. I mean, Bush lied his way into the second Iraq war. It was horrible, right? Trump, forget it, right? But we're not evil at all. But all governments do what's in their national interest. And guess what? All wars don't work out very well. Some wars do, some don't. So, Iran bombed an American airbase in Iraq. If you're talking about a couple of days ago, Iranian surrogates did. Yes. I assume that's what you mean. I doubt there's nothing new now. If China becomes the new superpower, well, we've still got a lot more nukes than them. We've got a bigger military than them. So I don't know what not sipping water means, but I'm not too afraid of the Chinese. Chinese, however, sadly are our enemy. They seem to want to be our enemy. And we should treat them as such. And we have to keep our military up to counter them. But I got news for you right now. China invades Taiwan, they're going to lose. That's what all the experts say. Not going to be easy, but they're going to lose. So, America's not just going to sit back and watch the Chinese communist dictatorship build up more and more nukes. And we're going to sit there and go, okay, well, I guess we'll do nothing, right? More weapons to threaten our allies and our friends, threaten Taiwan and the other countries in the region. Milosevic. Oh my God. Milosevic. Thank you. Thank you, Gothia. Yeah, we got Milosevic too, the son of a bitch. Goddamn Serbian dictator committing genocide against who? Muslims in Europe. Who came in to save their ass? NATO. Again, America corralled everything, but it was NATO. We saved their asses. And today, the Russians and the Serbians still play this game. Again, and so do these like far left leftists. Oh, look at what you did in Serbia. And it's like, in Serbia? We literally saved the Kosovars from genocide, from being ethnically cleansed. Yeah, we literally saved like 800,000 Muslims, Muslim Europeans. That's what we did. I am happy to talk about what we did in Serbia. But they literally put it out there as though it's like, oh, it's so evil what you did. Yeah, it's evil if you're Russian or Serbian. Yes, that I understand. If you're anybody else who's normal, too bad. Thank you. Who's that? Beneden? Beligen. I'm not going to pronounce this right. Beleben. Okay. I think I'm saying that right. That's a B, the second one. Elon Musk. Yeah, he's a mess. I did see that. Yeah, Pen was saying, did you see Putin was calling on the West to condemn Ukraine for the invasion of Russia? Oh, he did. It was fabulous. Putin condemned Ukraine and called on the West to condemn Ukraine's invasion of Russia. Yeah, 2.5 years after you invaded Ukraine, cry some more tears, Vlad. Seriously. Yeah, they're the biggest freaking hypocrites. I mean, it's just kind of amazing. And again, sort of but they know that. It's not really hypocrisy, it's lies. Everything, I've told you this. The Russian government, generally speaking, as a rule, lies. It's what they do. Their international diplomacy raises lies to an art form. And it's part of it. Again, we know the term as gaslighting now, where basically it's just the lies are so crazy that you almost don't know what's true anymore, right? Thank you, Jay Shea. I saw that Crimea River. That was cute, Jaylene. But in this case, literally, Russia invades Ukraine for no reason other than to steal land, steals a bunch of Ukrainian land, kidnaps thousands of Ukrainian children, tries to make them Russian. Thank you, David. And then Ukraine finally invades Russia. It's a war crime. Yeah, really. Hardy, har. You know, I mean, my God, it's just insane. Anyway, thank you, Love the Bisons. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you, Ruff. What else? Was that the State Department quote on the invasion? Mike just brought it up. State Department calls the incursion into Kursk region a sovereign decision. Ukraine's actions do not violate U.S. restrictions on the use of American weapons. Yeah, I saw that. The only thing is, I was wondering whether, now that I think about it, when we said today that Ukraine's invasion of Russia doesn't violate U.S. restrictions on weapons, it made me wonder whether that means Ukraine didn't use American weapons to invade Russia, right? It could be that. It may not be that we're saying, oh, it's okay that they used American weapons. We may be saying they didn't use any, right? We may have told them, we don't like you doing it, and if you do it, don't use our weapons. They could have used the British tanks. They could have used the Leopard tanks, the German ones, right? They didn't have to use. Some people were saying they're using Bradleys, but who knows, right? We've got fog of war going on right now. We don't know. I would be extremely surprised if the Ukrainians would use American weapons and if the Americans would let the Ukrainians. Okay, if Ukrainians used American weapons to invade Russia without asking America, there's no way they would have to ask. B, that America gave permission for the Ukrainians to use our weapons to invade Russia. I have with Biden's fear of escalation, I can't imagine them letting that happen. I cannot imagine them letting that happen. Not in this scenario, right? Maybe a scenario where the Russians attack and then run across the border, right? So hot pursuit, I could see Biden saying, okay, hot pursuit, you can get them, right? You're literally chasing them, but not you planned a whole invasion of this region of Russia using our weapons. I think Biden would freak out. So maybe, but I'm very surprised. Again, if it's U.S. weapons, then I'm going to be fascinated because I doubt Ukraine did it without permission. There's no way. Sweden has said okay on Russian soil to attack. Good. I've talked about the riots in Britain. I mean, honestly, as an American, it's all a little confusing. I mean, Callum has sort of filled me in. I've had, some of you disagreed that we were chatting on Twitter. So I'm not sure how to really cover them. I'm still a bit flummoxed by it. I'm sorry. As an American, it looks like far-right wackos. It does. It looks like the fascist right, which sadly you've got in Europe, and we're getting it in America, but it's much more violent in Britain. And Britain has this history of violence anyway. I mean, they freaking go violent after soccer matches. Like there's a whole other weird blue-collar violence thing there that I don't understand. The riot, the hooligans, exactly. And the riots were started by people lying. They lied. Some guy killed like a number of children, and they lied and said he was an immigrant and a Muslim. Well, he wasn't an immigrant and he wasn't a Muslim. He was British, born in Britain and Christian. So, but now it doesn't matter. And they're attacking mosques and attacking Muslims. And now some of the Muslim extremists are attacking back. And it's like this whole crazy thing started by something totally irrelevant to the protests, so I love this. Some rando. Didn't Ukraine just lose a town in eastern Ukraine? Maybe. Doesn't compare to Russia literally losing 350 square kilometers of a province in Russia. That's pathetic. That makes you look weak. You are weak, right? You're a dictator losing 350 kilometers of your own land to little old Ukraine after you said the war was going well. This screws up everything for Russia. It makes it hard for Russia to negotiate now, because how does Russia say ceasefire? Russia's going to say ceasefire for land that Ukraine now controls in Russia? So Russia's going to cede the land to Ukraine? That'll be fun. Now, I'm loving this. So yeah, we are going to talk about it. And your own military bloggers in Russia are freaking out over this story. It's been all over the press. You guys are so stupid to let them exist. It's pretty funny, actually. But they've been freaking out about it. Basically, we started the show talking about this, or started, not the show, halfway through, but a Ukrainian contingent invaded Russia yesterday and has done very well. They took a lot of Russian territory in this one province right across the border in northeastern Ukraine, and took like 60 Russian prisoners, the largest number of prisoners taken in the war. Really a mess. Julia, no, you can ask about other stuff. I mean, we typically talk about Ukraine, Russia, and the American election. You can ask about other stuff. I may not talk about other stuff, but you can try. You know, I don't mind asking. So, we're going to see how much they take, but still, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. No violence tonight in the UK. That's good, at least. Will Ukraine ever launch a bigger attack on the Kremlin? The Americans told them to hang back. Clearly, we know that. So, not clear whether Ukraine is kind of not going after, not going after Moscow anymore with its drones and stuff because of that. Give me one quick second. I have to get pizza dough out of the fridge. I forgot. One sec. I'm making pizza after we're done with the show today. There we go. There it is. There it is. All right. There we go. All right. Okay, my pizza dough. I try pizza occasionally. It never quite works. It's always good, but bread with sauce and cheese, you know what I mean? But pizza is not an easy thing to transcend, but not transmogrify into pizza. But I'm trying. But made the dough a day ago because it's good when it sits in the fridge for a day. Made a good sauce that I had in the freezer. So we're going to try. Have some good mozzarella. So we shall see. Harris's opinion on Ukraine, we don't know. I mean, I'm sure she's going to be supportive, but what we don't know is whether she shares Joe Biden's zeal for Ukraine, but also Joe Biden's fears. Biden is very afraid of antagonizing Putin. Does Harris agree? Thank you, Mario, for subscribing, or not? I don't know. I mean, we don't know. And again, it's hard because when you're vice president, you can't disagree at all with the president. You work for him. So it's like working for any boss, right? You can't say, well, I disagree with my boss's policies. No, right? We should be doing more aggressive. No, you can't say that. Now that she's running for president, she does need to distinguish herself from Biden, but she still can't criticize him. So she can't say, I'm going to do more. And also, here's the other problem. Americans don't want to hear about Ukraine. And this is Biden's fault. Biden let Ukraine. Oh, Blue Ariel sent subs. Thank you, Blue Ariel. Biden. Sorry, I took an allergy pill and my nose is still itching. Biden did not do a good job selling Ukraine to the American people. And therefore, people don't want to hear about Ukraine. It's a loser in American public opinion, really. It's a loser for the election. The last thing Kamala Harris should be talking about for the next 3 months is Ukraine. She shouldn't be talking at all because Biden lost the discussion. I would think Biden should have gone all over Trump's ass over Ukraine and said, this is about America. This is about freedom. It's about defending democracy worldwide. It's about America's role in the world. It's about America being the unique leader in the world, the only true superpower that's left, and the only superpower for good. You may not agree, but for our own country, right? You literally talk about all of that. And Biden didn't do it. He literally was like occasionally giving speeches on Ukraine being important. He never sold it to the American people. And the Republicans spent all their time saying, you're wasting money. We love America's enemies. We love America's enemies like Putin. Putin hates us and is trying to destroy us. And we're MAGA, so we love him. Well, honestly, if it were me, I would have a joy going after MAGA because of loving Putin. You literally embrace our enemies. You literally say, Trump's biggest supporters on Fox News have literally said they like the Russians, they like Putin more than they like Democrats in America. They literally love America's enemies. They're weak. They don't want to stand up to them. They want to turn over our allies. They want to turn their back on our allies. I mean, literally, it's weak on military. And then you talk about Trump making all his nasty comments about the troops, calling them suckers and losers, about our soldiers. I mean, it all ties together in Americans don't like people who are weak on defense. They don't like people who are anti-military, right? They frankly, it's anti-American, I would say too, because I would have said too, I would have said, you sound like a European, to be honest. I mean, no offense, Europeans, but I would have said, Trump and Vance, you sound like freaking Europeans. America shouldn't be in the world. America shouldn't be helping allies. Military shouldn't be abroad. You shouldn't be standing up to the Russians. I mean, that was old Europe, mind you, when I was growing up. That was like Europe of the 1980s. Thank you, Tessa. Where there was this whole America, get out of Europe and stop antagonizing the Russians. Like the left in Europe was terrible. But for American politics, we ought to be throwing it back at them and saying, you sound like European lefties, like European pacifists. You sound like socialists in Europe. Again, no offense, guys. Those would be talking points. What do you do? But in any case, so right now, I think it's probably better for her to not even talk about Ukraine at all right now, because Biden lost the debate in terms of the public discussion because he didn't have a public discussion. So he let the Republicans define Ukraine and the Democrats which is really incredible too, because Ukraine was so loved. I mean, people were putting ribbons around their trees in all of in our freaking country, crazy places. You had a classical democratic thing to do, right? The American people are totally in support of Ukraine. So you don't do anything about it and just say, oh, support will continue. I don't need to help. So by not helping keep the support going, by not helping the propaganda keep going, or whatever you want to call it, the marketing, it starts to dwindle because the other bad guys start saying negative things about it. So, another one from Blue Ariel. Thank you, Blue Ariel. Oh, man. Man. Yeah, older Americans do, because we remember the Russians. We remember the Soviets. We know who they are. We know exactly who they are. The Soviets are exactly the people you're seeing in Russia today. Evil, hegemonic, brutal dictatorship that kills its own people, jails them for simply criticizing the government, invades its neighbors, steals its neighbors' children. I mean, the kind of stuff the Russians do is off the charts compared to anybody else you would criticize, other than North Koreans and some of the other crazies, Syria, but and the Soviets were just as bad. So those of us who are older remember the Soviets, and we remember how bad they were. And that's why we look at the Russians and go, Jesus Christ, they're back. So thank you, Randy. Thank you, Jen. Well, the harvesting organs thing was actually the harvesting organs thing was Soviet and Russian propaganda. I'm not convinced harvesting organs ever actually happened that way anywhere. I mean, because it was something that the Soviet Union came up with. They accused the U.S. and Israel of harvesting organs, which was insane. It was a total lie from Radio Moscow and stuff. And they would pay African journalists to publish the story. Israel is harvesting, America are harvesting organs from young children in Africa. And then Radio Moscow would say, this is Radio Moscow. The Nigerian press reports today that Israel stole organs from children, right? And it was like, we're not saying it in Russia. We're simply quoting the Nigerian press that we paid to write the article. They're good at this. They're very good at this. Oh, wow, SD. Wow. Caused your grandmother's death in Siberia? Wow. Yeah. Russia will not be like Germany after World War I. Ah, okay. I thought you were going to say World War II. Would Russia be like Germany after World War I? The problem to some degree is I don't think Russia is going to be as oppressed as Germany after World War I. You know what I mean? I am, put it this way. I'm not worried about Russia. Russia should be neutered. We should keep the sanctions on them. We should keep building up our military to challenge them. If they don't want to join the civilized world, then treat them as an enemy and contain them. We had containment for, maybe not 70 years. Containment might have kicked in 1945 after World War II or so. 45 years of containing the Russians, and we should do the same thing now. So I don't buy the, we're making the Russians bad people or making the Russian government bad people. Please. They're quite good at it on their own. They don't need in other words, they don't need an excuse. It's not like Russia's going to stop invading its neighbors if we just don't put too much pressure on them after the war, we don't have too many sanctions after the war, then Russia won't invade Ukraine again. Of course they will. Then Russia won't invade the Baltic states. Of course they will if they can, if they think they can get away with it. Poland, if they can. Moldova, if they can. Of course they will. Hungary too. Well, Hungary is its own problem, yes. And Slovenia as well. Slovakia, not Slovenia. God, the Slovenia thing always gets me. Slovakia. No. Yeah. No, Slovakia. Slovakia is the bad one now. Yeah. Yeah. Slovenia. We love Slovenia. Slovenia is fine. No offense, Slovenians. But Slovakia, yeah. Yeah. The Russians would be speaking German if it wasn't for us. Somebody wrote that we'd be speaking German if it wasn't for Russians. Actually, World War II started because the Russians gave the Germans permission to invade. So actually, you do know that the Russians were actually allies with the Nazis. They were allies with Hitler. They signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact at the beginning of the war that pretty much gave the Russians permission to invade Poland, and of course gave Russia permission to invade Poland. They both said, don't worry, we won't attack each other. So Hitler, if you want to start World War II, rest assured Russia won't attack you, because that was Hitler's biggest fear. So the Russians were Hitler's ally, started World War II, and then 2 years into it, the Russians turned around and the Germans turned around and stabbed the Russians in the back, which is kind of funny, actually. Like, oh, gee, you couldn't trust Hitler. Surprise. And then the Russians suddenly needed our help. Now, Russia fought well against Hitler. Yes. Good for after they were his ally that helped start World War II. Fair enough. Thank you, Todd. And keep in mind, Russia probably wouldn't have survived if it wasn't for Western aid and Lend-Lease from America and from Britain, right? We gave them so much. Google Lend-Lease and see just how much aid we gave to the Russians. So much aid we gave to the Russians. So yeah, the Russians would be speaking German if it wasn't for American and British aid. And the Russians wouldn't have had to worry about speaking German, nor would any of the rest of us, had the Russians not secretly allied with Hitler and gave him permission to start World War II. So, the Russians love to play this, we're such heroes. You literally started World War II because of your duplicity with your friend Hitler. So, they don't like to talk about that. They really don't like to talk about that. Oh, no. Don't talk about the Russians being Hitler's allies. No. They're heroes of World War II. Sure you are, honey. And not to mention, and we saved your ass. They fought well once they stopped. Once the Russians stopped being Hitler's ally, they fought well. Yeah. But at that point, screw you to some degree, but also, and by the way, final point. And then what did your friend the Russians do once they 50 years? The Russians invaded Europe when they got to Germany and took all the territory between Russia and Germany, the Soviet Union and Germany, and took it as their own. They took part of it into Russia itself, the Baltic states and some areas around there. Ukraine, I always forget. Ukraine was more in the 1920s, I guess. But they took a number of countries around there as being part of the Soviet Union. They stole them. And then they kidnapped Eastern Europe. Absolutely kidnapped Eastern Europe and made it Russian, made it Soviet. Oh, they were still independent, but they were run by Stalinist dictatorships, by communist dictatorships controlled by Moscow. So yes, your little friend Russia, who saved the world, literally thanked the world, saved them, and then took them hostage for 50 years. That's sick. That's sick. Yeah, TikTok claimed the connection was bad for a minute. Not sure why. I got a little warning that the connection dropped and it came back. Maybe my Wi-Fi glitched out or something. Possible. Anyway, yeah, East Germany. My God, East Germany was horrific. Everywhere was horrific. East Germany. I mean, the worst dictatorships, East Germany and Romania, probably, right? I'm going to say those were the worst. Really just horrible. Thank you, Eric, for subscribing. Hopefully the connection's okay on TikTok now. It looks like it's saying it's a good connection now. Oh, thank you, Cheryl, for sending a sub. Appreciate that. What else? YouTube buffered? Then you know what? Then it probably was my internet did a little glitch, sadly, but it's back at least, so that's good. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Harrison Waltz are in Detroit. Okay. Alaskan comments by Russia? What do you mean, Le Démon? What do you mean by that? Oh, are they threatening to take Alaska again? They like to do that. Yeah. I was going to make an obscene hand gesture, but I'm not going to do it. Who cares? I mean, literally, like, who cares? What are they going to do? Again, we have nuclear weapons. You try to take Russia, we will nuke you. Absolutely, positively. There's like no question about it. So yeah, the Russians aren't going to touch Alaska. I mean, quite literally. So I couldn't care less when they say crap like that. I'm like, bring it on. You know. Right, we have the deed. We have the piece of paper that shows we own it. We bought Alaska from the Russians like 1860, maybe. When did we buy it, guys? 1860 or so ish. Seward's Folly, it was called, right? Because Seward was he the Minister of the Interior or something? But like instrumental in buying it, and people thought it was ridiculous that he bought this land up there from the Russians, right? Oh, then we've 1867. Okay, then we found gold. That's very funny. Then we found gold. Exactly. Up. Thank you. Oh boy. Choroshok. Thank you for subscribing, or whoever subscribed them. And we met our goal. Yay. I had a goal up for 500 subscribers. Thank you guys. What's the joke, Annie? Beep, 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 beep. And well, we have a lot of international folks too. So it's good to remind people, like, they may not know that we got Alaska from the Russians, for example. Sorry, just looking for Annie here. Oh, but yes, I'm going to finish the show shortly and then try to make some pizza, which we'll see if it's any good. I'm not convinced, but you never know. Like I said, it's always when I make pizza, it's good enough, but often it just tastes like bread with, tomato sauce on it, but we'll see. We shall see. Thank you, Wood Warlock. I do not think the Russian people are going to turn on Putin anytime soon. Todd, I think I did thank you for that, Todd, for the donation on YouTube. Thank you again for that. 7.2 million we paid. That's funny. Yep. And exactly. Kaliningrad. Yep. We know about that. Oh boy. I think I'm going to go with just mozzarella and some pepperoni. I do like pepperoni. I like Italian sausage, but it depends. I mean, when I make my own pizza, Italian sausage can be a bit heavy, I find, the sausage you buy at the store. So sorry, I'm yawning. I know, I'm sorry. I will probably get a little bit of pepperoni. Did it glitch again? How do I see the war ending? God only knows. The war in Ukraine? God only knows. I mean, because who knows? I mean, if Trump comes, he's going to screw it up and cut off all American aid probably and hand Ukraine to Russia. That could be bad. If Biden wins, or if Harris wins, U.S. aid may continue, but it depends because you got to get the money through Congress, and that's not easy. Thank you, Bing, for the gift. All right, who posted the joke? Annie? Oh, all right, hold on. I'm looking. I see everybody referencing it. All right, hold on. This is not easy to find stuff on here. The problem is stuff like goes through and then it disappears. Come on. I can't find this. I'm finding absolutely nothing from Annie. Yeah, I'm not kidding. If somebody a mod can put it at the top of the screen or something. This is the problem on TikTok. There's so many comments that even when I'm like scrolling, I can't see stuff that I'm looking for. Hold on, I'm looking again here. No, I can't even see it. I'm not seeing it at all, actually. Yeah, put it on YouTube. You said, well, John, see it, and I'm literally not seeing her comment anywhere there. No updates on the F-16s. Yeah, post it on. I do not have a pizza oven, no. I mean, I kind of, I could get one, but I'm not sure I want like another appliance. You know what I mean? The thrill of the chase. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. The thrill of the chase. Yep. Jake Tapper on CNN got very upset today that Democrats were making fun of the couch joke. It was very, very mean. And it was just like, oh, give me a break, Jake. Come on. Oh, that was a real threat. Oh, that was absolutely a threat against Taylor Swift's show. They canceled it. They arrested, two or three guys? Yep. The thrill of the chaise. That's cute. Yep. That is cute. Or chase. Oh, I guess we do say chase in English. We say chase lounge. Yeah. Chase. The thrill of the chase. Anyway. All right, guys. I think I'm going to get going, guys. It's 20 after. I'm hungry. We've been talking for a while. I want to get my pizza make because it's going to take me a while not too long. Hopefully spread it out and put some stuff and see if it's any good. And I'm buffering on TikTok anyway. The connection's being bad. Yeah, I don't know why the connection's bad. I'm thinking my internet. Maybe I have to reboot my internet. I'll try doing that too. Yeah, because something's not connecting well. Sorry. All right, pizza oven, yeah, but I just don't want another appliance. We'll see. Maybe I'll buy a pizza oven at some point. Like I said, I'm just not sure I want another thing in the house. Thank you, Tessa, because I have a lot of stuff in my kitchen anyway. All right, guys, I'm going to get going. All right, I'll come back tomorrow. May do an election update during the day tomorrow, but certainly we'll do the show tomorrow at 6:00 Eastern. So, and Iran may attack Israel tomorrow. So we're going to see about that. There's some talk about Iran doing it overnight tonight, I think. Thank you, Paul. Subscriber Live. I'm going to try to do one tomorrow. Yeah. Even if there's nothing to update too much, we can just hang out and talk a little bit about it. Yes, the mods. I did see that we got up to 1,200 people on TikTok, which means we must have had a lot of trolls. Typically, that's a troll alert when the numbers get that high. So, all right, guys, have a good night, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the gifts, everybody. Thank you to the subscribers. Thank you for the gift subscriptions as well. To Blue and a number of you guys over there too. So, and thank you for the cool gifts, including those cool, the freaky duck thing, or what was it? A goose, the boneless goose, which was pretty funny. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Okay. You all too. Oh, more last minute gifts. Thank you guys. Thank you, Mustard, Jeremy, Timbo. Thanks guys. All right. YouTube. Boom. All right. And you all